I think they've lined themselves up for a little bit of a, maybe of a way coming back in and rallying in this game too. They pick up the death profit for themselves, something that they have really loved. And they have counterpicked Gunner's Viper. Fear raised some great points, you know. Gunner's this really fantastic mid player, lots of technical ability. You give him something like a Viper, it's not really a hero that you expect that many flashy plays from.
Well, certainly not. Definitely not the kind of hero you expect from old Gunner, but we'll see what he gets done on it. At the very least, the hero is very, very toxic, and so is the sniper that they've got there, so it's a very annoying draft to have to try and play against here if you are Alpha. Going to the Wind Ranger pick as well, you saw Fear being very doubtful as to whether this hero was going to be a great counter towards the old Viper, and I tend to agree. I don't think it's the greatest counter towards the Viper at all.
Yeah, I mean, it does counter the Viper in lane quite well. It's just, what do you do afterwards? You counter a hero that also kind of just doesn't scale the hardest as well, but the Wind Ranger just also doesn't contribute as much afterwards. It's sheerly because Focus Fire is single target, Shackles is mainly single target. You're not really lining yourself up to rely on that to catch two heroes every single time. So it just boils down to what Fear said as well, like whether or not Soul can kick off to that running start and really shut Gunner down. That feels like where Alpha's hinging this game on.
Yeah. Of course, that mid lane is where we'll get started. You've got Soul there against Gunner. It's the Viper versus Wind Ranger. We just kind of talked about this. Of course, you are going to wait a couple levels before you do go for that Wind Run. And Gunner, he just goes straight for the corrosive skin anyway, so the Wind Run wouldn't do too much. Just wanting to be a bit more defensive on Gunner, and of course Soul is going to try and punish Gunner as much as possible, but is going to deal a little bit of damage back to himself.
Yeah, it's quite a good amount of damage Gunner's dealing back. He is losing a lot more though. His armor's not the best on Viper in the laning phase, 2+3, same as the Wind Ranger. So Soul is just going to win out every time he can get those hits off. And once he has that Wind Run, just manages to really gun down. Missing out on the power shots can hurt, but you're already kind of keeping Gunner down as much as possible. And as long as you maintain the same pace and maybe find yourself that pick-off, Soul can start to get running here if he maintains that.
We already have an interesting rotation from Wish. Husky's there as well. They've brought a creep wave into the mid lane each. I'm not sure what they're trying to do here, but well, what are they doing? Wish, where are you going?
They don't want the creep waves to meet, so they're just dragging them back. Maybe trying to just get into a camp. Doesn't look like Husky's going to do that. Just trying to soak some EXP. We've seen that before somehow, Mike, and I feel like it was also in NA where we've seen these creeps just kind of head towards mid. Still a nice tasty wave for Yamsun to eat up. That top lane, of course, Monster on his DP that he excels on. There is a lot of aggression you can get out here for Alpha. I feel like it's a lot more than you might be able to get out on Nouns, although up against an Undying, you don't really want to clump those two heroes together too much on Alpha's end, or the punishment is severe. But the tossback
Is there. Problem is it's the Undying, and that's the target you don't really want to toss back, because he won't mind being close up. Yamsun was the target they really wanted, and they won't be so lucky as to get him.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
How's that bot lane going?
Yeah, it's going all right. I mean, Slark up against Centaur can be a little bit back and forth there.
Right. Well, with I believe we have a video with Gunner available to listen to here. Let's see what Gunner had to say.
For our team after the roster was that we probably have a more dedicated captain. That feels it's easier to do because Lelis is now our captain. I think it's easier for a support to do it than a core, which we kind of all agreed, and Lelis agreed, which was one of the reasons why he switched to support. So it's kind of helped in game a lot.
Well, there you go. There's Gunner having a bit of a chat with us there. Obviously, again, great mid laner. Not sure about the Viper, but we'll see how he goes with this one. Back to the bot lane, though. Bit of action breaking out. Rises, Tiger kind of going at it here. Mu obviously kind of struggling against the Slark, and you do kind of expect that, considering the Slark obviously loves going up against these melee cores. Mu not too dissuaded by it, though. He's just perfectly fine with the amount of regen he has, and double ring of protection always going to make it a little bit more challenging for Rises to get that damage out.
Yeah, basically unkillable with +4 armor. Do love the point Gunner raised up there, and you do see that impact that does come out from Lelis. We saw it in this Game 1 Rubik, and he's back under Rubik once more. Here that he has shown that he's really fantastic with the direction that Nouns takes off the back of his calls. does make a significant difference, and maybe that's something that Alpha's lacking as well, not just in individual players, but just having that voice in game. Feels like that's where Dota's really been heading for the past few patches.
Sol could be in pretty big danger here in this mid lane. He's already committed the wind run to try and get away earlier, and well, he might just be punished. And he does. Gunnar, he'll secure first blood, and well, this is why nobody was confident with this Wind Ranger pickup. Bit of action top lane. Monster trying to go after Yamsun. A very nice toss back from Wish, allowing them to punish the sniper. So they do find a nice trade across the map.
Yeah, it works out pretty well. You're keeping that sniper down. But even if you do manage to keep Yamsun down, it does feel like as long as Gunnar keeps Sol down, you have a bigger issue with a Wind Ranger behind. It's just tough to come back.
It certainly is. Bottom lane, a bit of action breaking out, as well as Rises was taking a fair bit there on the Slark, but he's going to be all right. Back into that mid lane, you kind of wonder, Sol, how does he recover here? It's kind of hard against the Viper to recover when you've given first blood away to said Viper. Again, I think Sol just kind of appreciating he has to be very, very cautious with the way he does abuse that wind run. Pops it again. The thing is, Gunnar knows every single time you use it, he can get aggressive, and that he will. Once again with the Viper Strike, Sol, he's trying to plan a tree to block the vision, but it won't be enough. They'll have the damage. That's the thing, you try to get aggressive with that wind run, Gunnar's going to go after you every single time.
Yeah, and that's massive. That's pretty much what Fear called from the panel a while ago. If this Wind Ranger just dies 2 times in the lane, maybe even more as the laning phase goes on, it doesn't bounce back. It's not here that farms well. It's not here that necessarily sets up ganks all too well either. So you're going to have to build that momentum elsewhere, but it could be a pretty tough game for Sol here.
We'll try top lane again. Husky dropping fairly low on the Undying, but tanky enough to be able to walk away. Going back to that mid pickoff for a moment, John, I think the idea was that because Gunnar had a full creep wave on him, I think Sol thought that Gunnar surely wouldn't try for the kill with a creep wave available, but he was wrong. Gunnar was more interested in the Wind Ranger kill, and well, again, Gunnar just completely snowballing the Viper so far, having a very, very strong game. Even securing the power rune now thanks to the back of Lelis. That illusion rune for himself, and it's making life even harder for Sol.
Yeah, it's not easy. You can't even get a good support rotation out here. Your best bet is probably Wish on that Tiny coming around with an Avatoss and lining up for a Shackle on the creep, but Gunnar's 2 levels ahead. Level 7, his output's just way too high. He's fairly durable, so you can't really even stop the Viper at this point. It's just at its peak in lane dominance.
That it is. Bottom lane, Rises, dropping fairly low. Meanwhile, top lane, Husky trying to chase down Wish with the Tombstone. Rises does go down bot. Husky still in a bit of danger, but not quite enough. With the decay stacks, he's just such a tanky boy and monster. Well, he's chasing him down, but he doesn't have the damage output. Yamsun's there the whole time, just with the right clicks dishing out the damage himself. Wish now kind of in a rough situation. Husky will keep the vision up. Yamsun realizing you probably don't have the lockdown, so he is going to back towards the lane once again. But again, while that team fight was breaking out, Rises did die in the Slark, and somehow this chase is still ongoing. Husky is still chasing down Wish. Wish is still juking through the tree line, but now Gunner's joined it. Well, why the hell not? They really wanted the kill. Gunner's got a 3rd kill in this game so far, and they'll find the Tiny eventually. The persistence does pay off.
Yeah, it's a nice pick off for Gunnar. Dragonlance fully up now on Viper. You have some issues keeping this guy down. His added range, you're dealing with a sniper as well. The reaching back here is pretty tough for Alpha. Like, theoretically, your Slark can be on top of someone, but it does take a while for Rises to get to that point. And you just have pretty good free reign here now.
Not again. Gunner's on the chase. They'll try to living armor him up, but Gunnar, he's going to do so much damage. Yeah, he's just gone. No chance of survival. Tips out for Gunnar. It's the thing, right? Like, you wind run away, but if you cop the Viper Strike, it just doesn't seem to matter because the slow kicks in eventually. Gunnar catches up, and then you just die. To make matters worse, he is going for the Boots of Travel, so he is going to have the movement speed to keep up with the Wind Ranger.
And they've just really ignored Gunnar. Like, they've just pinned all their hopes on Sol. counteracting this pick. Hasn't, and they've just let him alone.
We'll try to go after Husky top lane on the Undying. Tombstone has been dropped, and Husky with the Stampede is able to get away. Wish now the one in danger. Should eventually go down to the zombie and does. Monster still trying to run, and so is Tiger, but it seems like the tree is going to be in a bit more dangerous. Monster, he's trying to get aggressive once again with the Exorcism, but Gunnar has showed himself in this lane, though has decided himself to back off. They don't seem to want to fight the Death Prophet with that ulti going. They might just wait it out first. Still, they find a kill for their trouble. They'll defend the top tier 1 tower from that Exorcism. And sadly for Alpha, they find nothing.
Yeah, it's a wasted Exo. They're not able to push in that top tier 1. You do drag nouns up there, but again, you don't really have a good way of jumping here.
That's a lot of damage out to Tiger. Wish, he is going to get at least a toss back onto Husky, but we've seen this before. He does go down, but now Gunnar can go right after Monster. It looks like he has the damage as well. That's a lot of damage.
It's a massive amount of damage. No TP back for the DP as well on respawn.
Soul, I'm not sure about this one. He's going to try. They have the toss-up. Gunnar's still tanking through it. He might eventually die and does. Looks like he didn't have the backup in the end. Yamson tried to move in, but just couldn't get anything done. And eventually Soul, he does find his revenge.
That's a good amount of gold now for Alpha. And that should allow a little bit more room for Soul to get that build-up into the Maelstrom, get a little bit of farm going for himself. I think one big issue for Alpha while all that action happened top is the bot lane's not been getting any easier for Rises. I mean, it's a solo lane for Slark against Centaur, but it's not a lane that he necessarily feels comfy with a Vanguard up and running on Mu. So he's just able to run down the creep wave and get some good damage on that tier 1. And because of all the action, Trained Protector can't even heal that up. And now the mid's under pressure as well.
Trying to find Soul again with the lift, but they just could not get within range. Nouns, they'll just pressure the tier 1 mid tower instead. Of course, Living Armor is going to make it a rather difficult task, but they are doing a good job protecting the siege creep on that dire end of things. Glyph is going to be forced out. It's very hard to force this team fight into the Tombstone and the Viper at the same time. All they can do is slowly just heal it up with that Living Armor and just make it harder and harder for Nouns. Lelis being even more annoying with that wind run, just threatening to go for the lift up. Wish now going to jump in, but he's already taken so much damage. Might just go down as the avalanche does fly through him. They do take him out. Mr. Slug has now joined. Stampede is there, however, Lelis, he's going to be fine to back off, but a nice power shot from Soul. Just nipping on the backside of the Rubik does find him, so they find a trade. Not too bad. They will eventually protect that T1 mid tower.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to hold on to bot, though. Again, you just leave Mu alone to push. Living Armor just doesn't stop that retaliate damage. Even level 1 retaliate, it's still going to be enough. So you still end up with a tower advantage here for Nouns. 3k lead up as well, 4-9. You're having a fantastic time for Yamson to build up. Gunnar, travel's not too far off. And for Alpha, it just feels like their own power spikes are pushed further and further back. You're just not getting that presence out you want from DP early on, countered by that sniper lane matchup. You weren't able to get Exo to push the tier 1. They are going for a little bit of a smoke play out. And Wish and Soul are pretty strong. They don't have that forward vision we saw from game 1, though. They had really good wards into that top jungle early on. Not the same case here, and they're not going to be able to find anyone.
Alpha will get started on that top tier 1 tower push. Monster, he's popping the ulti. No real defense to come. They'll let this one go. Instead, I think Nouns are more interested in pressuring the mid tier 1 again. You don't want to leave it too long. That Living Armor slowly just healing it back up, so all that work you put in might just go to waste. That's what they do though, Nouns just hanging around the right side of the map. Alpha will do the exact opposite, just on the left side. Husky still around that tier 1, does have the Tombstone up and will drop. Applying that pressure again towards that tier 1. Soul will try to focus down the Tombstone. No Soul Rip up to heal it, but instead they can just go right for the life of Soul and they find him. Even popping the Stampede just in case.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's hanging in the back, you get a kill. If not, it's not the worst spell to just throw away like that. Mid tier 1 gone opens up the map even more for Nouns. I do like that there's some defensive wards from Alpha dropped already on their bot jungle. They expected to lose that mid at some point up against a Centaur. Nouns though going for a smoke play on their own now. not going to be able to find anything unless they wrap around onto Wish. Again, really good wards here out from Alpha on the jungle. So if they do spot someone just popping out the farm, they have an opportunity. Now it's a little bit dark on the map, but we'll see if the smoke still lines up.
Wish looks like he's going to be the target. No, easy jump in, gets the hoop stomp off. Follow up, Wish. He will avalanche and try to make a bit of time for himself, but eventually Lelis just takes it for himself. Does have the follow up in the end. At the very least, in the meantime, they have bought time for Rises to be able to get the Diffusal Blade up, so he does have some ability to join his team now. But 4-11, 4K advantage, it's pretty dire straits at the moment for Alpha.
Yeah, it's still pretty rough. Like, it's almost reminiscent of Game 1, where Alpha just goes all in on Rises, the two cores buy space for him, sacrifice their own farm and scaling, and just hope that their pause 1 can just be this massive win condition. And the Slark can be. It's a good solution to the Sniper if you can jump that back line. Probably going to want the Ags for that, or at least a Shadow Blade to get into that area. Unfortunately, I think Yamsun's just getting a lot more off the map. He's just farming a lot quicker with a Mask of Madness, double rate band that you tend to see. And they're just not able to get a jump onto that Sniper. They're not able to push him away from that jungle, despite having these forward wards. Who do you really play off the back here? Like, your best bet is Tiny Blink, but it's still a little bit off here for the Tiny.
Yeah, bottom lane, they are trying to make a jump in onto Rises, but he's going to be okay. And well, the state of the game kind of explains the odds we have here, of course, from esportsbets.io. Again, the odds being 1.21 to 4.17, of course, in the favor of Nouns, and they are certainly showing why that is here in this game number 2. Still, Alpha definitely not out of this game yet. Just need a bit more time here on Rises. One good team fight could turn the game right back the other way. They just need to find that team fight though, and for now it just hasn't been the case. Gunner, but he's bot lane alone right now. Rises. Try to chip away with the Diffusal. Gunner won't bother with the Viper Strike yet, but with the Shadow Dance, Rises will continue chasing just for a little bit. Doesn't have the damage to continue and just doesn't feel confident. Gunner, you will have the backup of Yamsun now, but they won't have the greatest way of locking down Rises, so they won't even try.
Yeah, I mean, you managed to force out at least an ult from Rises, and not the longest cooldown in the world for him. And you do keep him pressured and in check. They are making moves up top, though.
That Tiger, he might just drop, and he'll try to make it as hard as possible with all the hills coming out. Even Wiz jumping in with the cheeky avalanche, and an overgrowth being committed. Maybe a bit of a overkill there from Alpha. I mean, Sol has joined. He could try to force a fight, but doesn't really feel like it might be a very smart idea. Gunner is still around. He's the big target. Wiz is going to jump in with his Blink Dagger. Toss out is there, back into Monster. A nice shackle, but Moo is going to back him up, and now with the Stampede, Gunner needs a way out. He'll get the 4-star for the high ground, and with the Soul Rip, he does get healed up, so Husky, he's going to chase him down and keep the vision up. Ultimately, Alpha, understanding they have missed out on their opportunity. They'll let this one be. Nouns more than happy to just accept the fact that Gunner does not go down in this engagement.
Still under vision here from Alpha, though.
Will Wish jump in again. Toss back. It's going to be onto Moo. He'll be okay with that, though. He's a very, very tanky target. And look at the damage. Oh, the Blade Mail just returning everything back to Rises. That's tough. Tips flying out, and Tiger, he'll be the second to fall. Bit unfortunate. I mean, your toss back move, it was definitely the target they wanted, and boy, do they pay for it.
Oh, they pay a lot. Move with the Blade Mail right on time. It was finished up right before that fight started in the lane. And speaking of Blade Mail, you also have one on Gunner. So who can you even focus fire here as Soul? No one. You're just gonna die.
Nobody.
I mean, you could try to focus fire a Sniper, but getting up to the Sniper is a different story.
Yeah. That's the thing. Both these heroes, they have corrosive skin, they have retaliate, so it's not just the Blade Mail that's returning all that damage. And you're seeing a replay now. It's just so tough. Like, Moo gets tossed in. Easiest setup of his life. He was more than happy with that. No blink necessary.
Yeah. The one other thing that was impressive to me, and it just goes back to what Gunner said in that interview, when he was stuck on the low ground being ganked up, he just stayed still, facing his character towards that cliff, waiting for Lelis and his Force Staff. They just have so much discipline, so much trust in Lelis to captain and guide him and play with them. that it just allows you to get on that bleeding edge. And it just gives you such a pretty big team advantage, team cohesion advantage over Alpha, who again might not have that guiding voice, might not have that same direction as a team in comparison to nouns.
Absolutely. Flame TP's coming in. Soul is showing on the wave at the moment. Invisibility. Be there. Instead, however, they're going to find the Tiny, so Wish does get caught out there by Lelis, and a bit of damage being pumped out. Stampede even being committed. Wish eventually will drop. They'd love to find Soul as well, but he's going to win run away. Just a quick Tiny kill here. Going to once again take the kill on the Viper. They are around the Roshan pit, but they don't really have the draft to try and go after the Roshan quite yet, I don't believe. Instead, they're going to infiltrate that Radiant Triangle where they do stick around, and that'll be Monster. Feeling safe in his triangle, but not so much, and maybe now they could force Roshan.
It's not the quickest, but as long as you get the right heroes tanking Rosh, it'll still fall pretty quick. Alpha doesn't feel like they've got good counterfight there. I mean, you're covered in vision here for nouns. You just don't have a natural initiator outside of your Tiny right now with a blink. And even then, the follow-through just doesn't feel great. Aegis up on Yamsen, the big target you can't even reach in the backline, even if you could find a way to touch that sniper. Now, dealing with 2 lives, different story. Especially with that Stampede to save. Like, you can't even fully commit on Yamsen in the next fight yet.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That'll be the top tier 1 tower now to be focused down by nouns. 7k advantage, 4-17, 20 minutes into this game number 2. Another dominant game here for nouns so far. We're just going to jump in. Husky, you'll get tossed back. It's the Undying though, in which he's already dropped. Husky, he's perfectly fine. It's just no contest at the moment. It feels like you need to find a bit of a softer target. Maybe Lelis, maybe Yamsen, but they're very hard to catch out. Just great positioning from nouns. Wish, he's had a very tough job throughout this whole game number 2. Just never having a great opportunity to find the right target. And with that, he just sacks his life away again. And nouns, understanding this, they'll just chip away at the T2 top tower now.
You at least have that living armor to make it a little bit slower. Look at the shrapnel damage onto Rises.
Ridiculous.
Oh.
Jump in again. Wish, another toss back. He does find Husky. They do get the kill this time, but it's going to cost his life again, it seems. They do cut in Greaves, but it's not going to be enough. Yamsen, he just gets right to work. So you find a trade again, but it's a pos 4 for a pos 5. It's still not really positive the way of Alpha. Though I suppose considering the state of the game, it is something.
You take what you can get right now if you're Alpha. You know, just find these kills, get some gold flowing in. Ags up on Rises, so reaching into the backline's a little bit easier now. You can play off the back of this Slark. Now it's kind of down to Rises to find these angles, to get those pounces in, and try to isolate some big heroes for them to kind of just kill off very quickly here.
Tiger's going to try and slow down this push top lane. Careful not to get caught out himself, but to walk to the tree line, use that invis. Yamsen doesn't seem to be done yet though. Even through the living armor, he'll just chip away at this tier 2 tower. He's happy to stay out of range of that tower and just keep going. Ooh, jump in, move once again. No hesitation. Sensing him in the tree line, does move in, and Tiger's gone. But Yamsen, he's a much bigger target. He will lose his first life. Meanwhile, Gunnar trying to run. The BKB of Soul allowing him to go focus fire through the Viper. Now Lelis getting caught out as well. Trying to make a run to the tree line, but eventually he's going to drop. So a successful team fight for Alpha. Off the back of a very nice toss from this Tiny. And the BKB on Soul really allowing him to actually deal with the Viper this game.
Yeah, does give them a lot of ways to just focus in. You know, you're not durable enough in the Viper to kind of just withstand that entire barrage without your Corrosive Skin running through and reapplying some damage back. So they managed to really take advantage of just this huge opening Nouns gave them. Playing really aggressive, being very confident in the Aegis. It did cost them 2 buybacks, though, on Alpha's end. It is only your 2 supports, but that is going to stall something like Tiger's Blink Up. And I think that blink on the Treant is going to be really important as well. So that might give Nouns a little bit more time to play with this advantage as well, knowing that blink timing now for Treant is going to be delayed. You don't have to worry about any other jump beyond Tinies. You still have a lot of give. And Gunner does have his full Ags up. We didn't quite see the nosedive do as much, again, with the BKB reveal on Soul. But now both tools are kind of shown. So it's all down to when Soul wants to commit that BKB, or if he gets caught out while the BKB's down for some reason, gives Nouns, again, a little bit of an opening. So there's still some power left here on Alpha. They've just got to play their cards right.
Jump in. They'll try on to move. Move, very, very tanky. Soul once again with the BKB. Gonna chase down Move on that center. The Stampede and 4 staffs away. Gonna allow Move a second chance at life. Meanwhile, Gunner rushing forward. No fear in the world. Wanting the team fight. Who can they focus down, however? It's gonna be Wish on the Tiny going down once again. They'll hunt for more. Tiger in the tree line is gonna be able to TP away and will barely survive in the fountain. Just barely. But Alpha, it was their initiation to make. Problem is, you can't really start on Moo. He's just way too tanky.
He's very durable. He just doesn't quite melt, even with a BKB on Soul. They need a little bit more commitment if they're going to jump something as tanky as that. And you're going to have to deal with Moo with a heart soon, so you're really not going to be able to pick him off, Rises.
Oh, that's very
Followed at the moment.
nice.
He seems to be aware that he's being followed. Moo,
Ooh.
not giving up.
Ooh.
Oh, the tumblers.
He blocked the pounce?
He did block the pounce, but Rises has a second. He's all right. That was almost a very, very beautiful play from Moo. So close yet so far.
I mean, if they managed to block that second pounce with all their heroes around, probably would have been a massive kill. Alpha able to kind of weasel their way out of that situation. Rises with a nice little bailout. Still, you've got a pretty strong lead still running for now. It's 8K. You're pretty ahead here on Yamsen. Gunner is still number 2 as well, and does reassemble the Dragonlance back up. For Alpha, it does still feel like you're gunning on Wish to find that opening, gunning on Soul to get really good use out of the BKB, and that the duration is shrinking here.
Jump in. Soul sees the sniper. Great target for himself again with the BKB. He feels very, very safe to try for this. Stampede away, Yamsun. No, he's not going to get lucky. Gunner still going to try and chase. Does miss out on the stun, but will continue going after that Windrunner. Soul still just abusing the Windrun to get away. Meanwhile, Wish be a bit of a nuisance here on the Tiny, but eventually he's going to get caught out. Still a great trade once again for Alpha. They'll find the sniper as Soul. He goes back in. Gunner, he'll go for a chase. Soul, slowed down now by the poison attack, but he's kind of going a bit too far because Rises, he sneaks up from the backside. But no, he's been caught out.
What?
The Invis though with the Shadow Dance, he's going to be okay for now. A great shackle as well from Soul. Lands onto 2, still trying for Gunner. The 4 staffs again, making it so hard to chase down this Viper. Moo jumping in once again as well. The DP almost finding Gunner, but not quite far enough. Meanwhile, Rises jumping back in, will find Moo on the Centaur, and they do take him out. Gunner still playing with fire here, but he may have given his own life away, and it seems like he has. In comes Yamsun once again. They will find Monster. But it's a successful team fight now for the side of Alpha.
They find that opening once more. They just drag these fights out really long. They manage to get a good angle out on Rises. With a shard up, Depth Shroud just gives you a secondary save along with a Shadow Dance. So they've got their ways of dancing around. For now, it does feel like maybe a bit of a lack of BKBs can kind of hurt their cause here. A little bit of spell immunity might go a long way in terms of surviving these engagements, getting full use out of the Stampede. But they are just going for durability still.
Oh, this could be massive. They sneak up from the backside, but Yamsun, whew, that was close. I slipped away. They'll lose the Tiny once again, but my God, did Lilith save the day?
I mean, Rises with the DD would have just found that kill on Yamsun, and that would have been a bit of a turnaround for Alpha. That would have been a lot more momentum going their way. They have managed to drag that lead of Nouns down to just 5K, and this time around, Nouns haven't been able to pierce into the tier 2s just yet. They're still going to have to put a little bit more work in. Alpha definitely showing signs of life here, Mike. BKB going to be coming up for Rises soon as well. And for Nouns, I mean, they're still playing pretty darn well. It does feel like they've got to respect Alpha a little bit more. Respect that counterplay. You know, just keep in mind the Wind Ranger's not completely dead yet. It is still contributing a significant amount of damage and control if the situation is right.
bottom tower has fallen.
Wish looking at Lelis, thinking about going after the Rubik now. Doesn't try this time.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
T2 Tower still a big focus here for Nouns. They are a little bit hesitant this time around, though. These previous team fights have been a lot closer than they should have been. Find a Treant, however. Chance up. Trying to take him down, but the Guardian Greaves does give another chance at line for Tiger. Gunner should have the damage and will. Be one down.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Keep in mind, Roshan is also available at the moment. Husky will move his way over, and it seems like the rest of the team looking for that Roshan. They will get started. This seems to be the key to going after that top T2 tower.
Nice safety net to play off the backup. Shard can be pretty darn good as well, although Gunner already has his, so I'm gonna hand it over to Yamsen. Gonna have that concussive grenade to help him, again, increase the gap between him and Rises, him and Soul. And that should be, as you mentioned, a tier 2 going. You still have some defense left in Alpha. Again, a good Blink Toss, a good Blink Shackle can turn the tides here. But without the Treant around for 20 seconds, at least one of these towers will fall.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
The T2 top not going to take too long now. No damage even being found as well at that top rune spot. If Nouns want to keep going.
Is under attack.
Alpha just taking their time to allow Rises a bit more time to farm. Even Soul going for that Daedalus up now, just wanting that high amount of damage. Mind, he only has 6 seconds through that BKB at this point, but it's more than enough with the Daedalus to get through one of these big cores. Nouns, 4-man smoke up, heading towards the bot lane. Only person left there is Soul, and he does have a TP available. Might just commit it now. So Nouns might realize they've kind of missed out. Soul is still hanging around that tree line, but it's going to be rather hard to find him. He will eventually just TP away back towards his team. So great plays here from Alpha, just forcing rotations that lead to nothing. With the Aegis up on Nouns, obviously they want to try and get these fights going, but Alpha, they want to try and play the avoid game for now, though I say that Tiger is going to get caught. They do at least find a Treant for their trouble.
Yeah, not the biggest kill, but again, it opens up a chance to push. Without that living armor, another tier 2 is going to be exposed to the corrosive damage coming out from Gunner. So they can just look for the objective game here on Nouns, keep kind of shrinking the map for Alpha, and make it a little bit tougher for them to play the game of attrition. Still, I mean, Alpha still has room to grow. Scotty coming out from Rises, as you mentioned, Daedalus coming out on Soul at some point as well. And you have the full Guardian Greaves, along with a Heaven's Halberd being queued up by Monsters. So way more ways to kind of stop the output of Nouns and just keep slowing the game down, keep trying to grow. The Slark can scale really well. As you find more pickoffs, as you start to approach that level 25 count, it can be really obnoxious to play against that.
D3 bottom tower now under siege. Very hard to defend here. Shards just so much damage off. The stumble damage on Yamsen as well makes it that much easier. Living armor really doing nothing to keep this tower alive at the moment. Alpha need to find a way to be able to win a team fight here in this high ground. Very hard again into the tombstone, but it does expire. Oh, again, toss back. Oh, it's onto a creep. That'll mean Wish is dead. That'll mean the bot racks is set to fall. Very hard to find a way to defend now. You've still got the overgrowth to set up if you do wish, but with the shrapnels flying out constantly in the tree line, it's so hard for Tiger to get a blink off. That'll be the bot racks freely taken by Nouns. No real contest coming up from Alpha. Just a very clean racks to be taken by Nouns.
Yeah. It's at that point where everyone's just really farmed up now on Nouns. You've got the Satanic up and running on Yamsen, Heart out for Moo. And they still have Aegis for quite some time, so they've got an opening for at least this mid-tier 2 to really force Alpha to play the high ground game. And even then, even without the Aegis and the Yamsen, if they get a good angle and get some value out of his damage anyway and kite around with all the Force Staffs, you can still kind of force high ground if you want to take that risk, even with Aegis set to expire.
Another T2 to drop. No defense to come, though Alpha, they have smoked up. Maybe they can wrap around through their own jungle and get behind the side of Nouns. Perhaps Alpha just trying to avoid any team fight altogether and keep that farm going. They do at least have Rises up at top lane, continuing to hit creeps, but it just feels like he's fallen so far behind Yamsun.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And now they're not done. They understand. With the Aegis up, they're more than happy to fight. There's just no need to back off yet. They just drop the tombstone very aggressively. And Alpha has no way to move in.
Under attack.
Now they thought about backing off, but they might just keep going. In fact, there's your TP back from Rises, and that'll be enough.
Max Valiato.
Nice toss. It is going to be onto Gunner, but there's the backup. Wish already dropping very, very low. Stampede pop Monster. He went for the exorcism, but Gunner just happily fighting back. Monster forced to back the hell out of there. Rise is also trying to fight Lelis, but he had a Ghost Scepter. He's fine. Tiger, he will be the one to drop with the Treant. Meanwhile, Shackle, though, is going to be very, very nice with the Sniper Yamsun. He is going to drop. That's a massive pickup for Alpha. Can they find more? They're going to have to try. Tombstone, a great Shackle once again. They found another two, but the 4 staffs coming in clutch, but not quite. Husky does drop. Wish, he'll get on the toss back onto Gunner. It's not going to be enough, though. He will go down. Soul trying for a Shackle. This time will not land. But Alpha, they should be very happy with this team fight. They'll find a couple of their trouble. That'll be enough for them to get back to farming.
They managed to isolate Yamsen out. 4 staves weren't there to save him this time around. And Rises just gets on top of him. It's the power of the Slurk with Ags. He can just gap close from a mile away. Has 2 opportunities to do so, though.
They're down Soul. This time without a BKB, they know they can deal with the Wind Ranger. And they will. Soul will drop. It's just the key. BKB not available, they can go in, but this time, toss back Gunner. He'll just run right back out. He has that haste rune up, so it's kind of hard to lock him down. Wiz will keep running, but move. He gets a great stun off. That's going to be the Tiny surely going down. Meanwhile, this Slug trying to fight back, but with the nosedive, with the disarm, he can't actually fight. Even through the Shadow Dance, he can do nothing.
It's a really awkward spot for Alpha. They bought back on Wish. High ground is really open for the taking. And that's all that happening while Yamsen's walking back with a creep wave. You didn't even have to deal with a sniper. They re-engage. They didn't expect all that output coming out from Nouns, and they just punish really well. I mean, these heroes they have just don't have massive cooldowns outside of maybe Stampede and Tombstone. Their uptime's really good.
Yeah, now they're onto the tier 4 tower. It's just kind of hard to see them stopping this whatsoever. Alpha does not have the buybacks available. And, well, Nouns, they just know it. And they go. One final team fight. They're going to have to try. The DP in trouble. Monster dropping rather low. Still going. Meanwhile, so is Rises. But the damage is just not there. It's just not there. Gunner, he's happy to turn around. Back onto the Ancient. Monster's gone. Alpha, they are trying their absolute best. They are not calling it. Rises is still going. Still trying to buy the time. But it's not enough. The Ancient's way, way, way too low. And that'll be it. GG is called. They have seen enough. You know, you've got to give props to Alpha John. They put up a decent team fight here against the side of Nouns, but ultimately Nouns proving to